right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
All right, we're going to begin taking your phone calls here. Once again, Bob Pompeani along with Andrew Fillipponi. Andrew, you have a Twitter fan. Gene P says, I really like Pony on TV. He's smart and he's quick, and I would agree.
I love Gene.
Most well-prepared guys going into business. We also have this tweet from George Lochner, and you can hit us up at KDPomp at The Pony Show. He says, if the Penguins keep playing like this, I would stand pat at the deadline. They are hit on all cylinders right now. There's a part of me that agrees with that, George, and a part of me that doesn't. Just because Jim Rutherford, to know him, is to understand that he's never really going to be satisfied. On top of that, Andrew, he's a guy who likes to reward a team that plays well with going all in. And if all in means making a trade to make him better, he'll do that.
Yeah. And I think he wants to insulate himself against, Bob, another injury at the wing position. You know, we see the way Malkin just has risen to the occasion all year. You know, if not for an injury, I think he would very much be in a Hart Trophy conversation, Bob, if not for the games he missed. I think you want one more guy who you think in either, you know, a secondary scoring role or, you know, trying to really hit a home run and get a Gensel replacement. One more guy who you think a Malkin or Crosby can get the puck to and can be at least a scoring threat on the ice, because I don't believe Galchenyuk is going to turn into that kind of player.
But what if he does? All of a sudden, a third line, you can put Bukestad with Galchenyuk and Hornquist. They have four solid lines. They're deep at every position. It's hard for me to look at a weakness on this team. If things remain the same, what would be their weakness?
Ooh, that's a great question. I talked to Bob Airy about this today, so I'm going to steal from him. Are you okay with that?
I love Bibster. He's
okay. He said the only thing he feels like this team is really lacking right now is a little bit of muscle. And he wonders if you get into a series with a more physical team, and remember we saw those battles with Columbus and Washington in years prior, is the team going to be able to maybe push them around a little bit and win a war of attrition against them? And I thought that was, you know, you come to expect it from Bob, who looked great as Mr. Rogers, by the way.
All of them did, yes.
All those guys. Could you pull off a cardigan?
Oh, I love cardigans. You probably think they're too old school for you, I bet.
Disagree. I think it's a great, classy look.
It's a great look.
And I think I'm kind of growing into it. I could see myself as a cardigan guy in the next 5 years.
With the beard, the hair gelled back, absolutely. All you need is a cigar, and you'll be good. All right, 412-575-2600. Let's go out to Greg and Ross Draver. Greg, welcome to the Sports Call.
Hi, Greg.
Go ahead.
Hi, Bob, Andrew. How are you guys?
Hey.
Good.
That's good. Hey, my question to you is, the Steelers would happen to sign Bud Dupree as they move forward. Would they be able to afford to sign Javon Hargrave, or would they feel that Daniel McCullers is solid enough in the nose tackle position? Thanks.
All right, Greg, McCullers has a lifetime job. I don't know if you knew that. I mean, he's going to be here no matter. It seems that way anyway. To me, if they go and give the money to Bud Dupree, it makes it very unlikely they'll give it to Hargrave. I think they like him. They want him. But they also realize he's at a point of his career where he's going to try to cash in, as well he should.
Yeah, and I like Hargrave a lot. And if I were in charge of the Steelers, I would actually, and this is a very controversial statement, I've said it before, and people have gotten upset at me, Bob. Hopefully you won't. I would keep Hargrave and cut Tuitt. I don't think Tuitt, because of the injury, if I had to pick one on the defensive line, it would be Hargrave, but I don't believe the Steelers will take that gamble, or I think they'll stay by Tuitt. I do not see a long-term contract in Dupree's future. I heard the Rooney comments today. It made me feel even more strongly about the idea that he's just about guaranteed to be back on the franchise tag. I don't see them finding a middle ground where he's going to accept a long-term deal from them, Bob. I just don't.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be franchise or nothing, or they'll let him go. You know, but he can't balk at it. He either gets it and accepts it, or gets it and sits out. And he's not going to do that, I don't think. Meantime, I disagree. I like Tuitt. I think Tuitt is one of those guys who, when healthy, can be as big of a disturber on the defensive line as Cam Hayward, who I thought had his best season of his career.
Yeah.
But I still like Hargrave a lot. I mean, he came out of nowhere out of South Carolina.
But I don't think you can have all three.
No, you can't. That's why he's going to be the guy that I think leaves. He's going to be like Hubbard, who was the offensive lineman.
How about Steve McClendon?
Well, Steve McClendon's a guy that
got paid by the Jets.
He did. Everyone's going to get paid at some point. They can't keep.
Well, when am I going to get paid? I'm waiting on that, Bob. When is that day coming?
You're one of the highest paid guys in radio, from what I understand. Let's go to Joe in Forest Hills. Joe, welcome to the Sports Call.
Hi, good evening, guys. Thanks for having my call. Do you think Pittsburgh is just too insular with their hires? You just have this quarterback coach who is all of a sudden from the same building as the Steelers. Matt Canada, I mean, can't they at least interview 2 or 3
They did.
people, did they?
Yeah, they interviewed 3 different people, I think, from what Art told me today. So they were looking. Canada has a relationship here. He got to know those guys because he worked next door. It would be interesting because he did not leave Pitt in the best of terms.
Now, him and Narduzzi are going to have some awkward parking lot moments now. Right?
It's true. I mean, that could very well be because if you remember, he took the nice money of LSU, but LSU didn't. Orgeron got rid of him pretty quickly.
No.
1 year.
And Coach O went to Joe Brady, who's now on that David Tepper money train down in Charlotte in Carolina. Here's my thing. Yes, it's kind of still within the family because he was down at the headquarters on the South Side, and he helped recruit. I was involved with Tomlin's son at Maryland. But I loved his offense so much at Pitt.
I did too.
I thought it was one of the most fun, dynamic offenses I've seen from a local team. And so I respect Matt Canada's ability as a tactician. Now, quarterback's coach a little bit different than offensive coordinator, but I do like the hire.
I do too. I think it's a good. They had to get somebody. They knew that, and they did it. Speaking of Carolina, you brought him up. Were you surprised that Luke Kuechly at age 28 decides to leave? I only say this because we've watched now Andrew Luck and Rob Gronkowski both before the age of 30. Here's another guy who's considered one of the bigger names in the game, and 7 years of pro. I mean, you could put him in the Hall of Fame right now, as far as I'm concerned. And down the road, they're going to have that debate whether or not his career was too short or not. I think the guy was elite since he came into the league.
I think he's the modern-day Jack Ham. I didn't watch Jack Ham. He's a little bit before my time, Bob, but the way they describe him, so detail-oriented, such a scholar and cerebral player, always in the right place at the right time. That's Luke Kuechly in a nutshell to me. And so you just have to wonder, guys that are involved in so many plays that have to take on contact every time.
Oh,
and it's just amazing guys.
He's had a lot of concussions.
It's just amazing guys like Ray Lewis who did that they were able to play for as long as they did, you know?
It's crazy, but he's making a smart move. If he believes that he doesn't want to risk his health, and why would you want to do that?
Yep.
Because the money, it doesn't matter how much you have if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it. Let's go to Isaac, who joins us on line 3. Hello, Isaac. How are you?
Isaac.
Yeah, hey, Bob. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to give a quick shout-out to Bill Cowher and his Hall of Fame bid. That was just awesome to see him go in as a Steeler Nation. Shout-out to everyone. I wanted to talk a little bit about a Hall of Fame snub, though, and that was the Dave Matthews Band today getting snubbed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I agree with that.
Andrew, I think you'd appreciate that as a music fan. I'll take it to you guys. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks very much. I agree with that. I think the Dave Matthews Band is worthy.
May I just say this? If Harold Carmichael is a Hall of Famer, we're going to do this thing where now the worst guy in the Hall of Fame or the least deserving opens the door for everybody else.
Yep.
If Harold Carmichael's a Hall of Famer, Hines Ward is.
I agree. I totally agree with that. If that's the case, you open up the door, which is why Mike Tomlin now, based on what we see from Bill Cowher, similar resumes. You look at Sean Payton; they're all in that group where guys like that are in, and they're heading in the right direction if they're not there already. We got to take a break. It's 412-575-2600. If you haven't called, give us a shout. We're here until 11 o'clock every night on Pittsburgh CW.